How? Tutu.
Hi.
Oh, 1 o'clock. Huh?
Any bird catches the back to swim.
Any break touches the
My
fight is
grandmother
well.
said.
Lovely. I won't touch too much clothes, Baba. In fact, the makeup, yeah. What chances?
Yeah, feeling that.
Yo, here we are.
Here we are.
Welcome to SoFi. How do you? Yes, so figure eight.
How are you?
This is one of our brilliant youth leaders in the country today.
Okay.
Yeah, telling you. She's yeah. Jennifer. Yeah, come to do. Unondogozo.
How are you?
Wonderful is yeah.
You
look gorgeous. I love that.
She loves Cheers to Failure.
Oh, does
She'd
she?
rather be on Cheers to Failure than Don't Die No.
So much.
Yeah, we must enjoy the conversation.
This is
with Dad.
Andrew.
Hello.
Andrew Dudu.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Thank
You've
you.
met Umdu already?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, Utsakani, you might not remember him, my youngest son.
I do.
You do?
Oh,
Okay, good. Come through. Sis.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, this is such a great place.
Yeah, we'll show you around. Yeah, I'll show you around. Going to be. You've had a busy weekend, eh?
I have.
Wonderful.
And a busy week as well.
A busy week. Be careful, Lapane.
Yeah.
Yeah, come through. Uzohlala ngapha. Bazokunika amanzi, ne?
Are you ready?
Yes.
So lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I've admired you from a distance as a young person in South Africa today, with all the challenges, seeing that the bit that you're doing. And I was just wondering, I was curious, who was that little girl Dudu growing up? Did she know that she'll be doing what she's doing today?
No. So I would say yes and no, because I'm saying no because personally, no, I didn't think. And yes, because my grandmother, whom I was raised by, my paternal grandmother, would tell me stories about the beginning of Inkatize Bumshaka and how I would do dances in the living room. And how when I was about 5 years old, I taught myself how to read by watching the news. And she says I did not know how to say Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So I would say Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Yes, Coca-Cola.
Oh my goodness.
So she says if I could find anything, I would read it, whether it's the news. And at that
And
time,
you were 5 years old?
and I was 5 years old. And at that time, we had that small TV, and my grandfather used to buy newspapers. And if anything that had black and white written, I would pick it up and read.
You know, when I was 10 years old, it was the biggest story, and I write about it in my book, I Don't Want to Die Unknown, which is what has inspired this podcast, Don't Die Unknown. I talk about the dream of not dying unknown, but not understanding what it meant.
Yes.
But you play as a child, and I'm
Yes.
so happy to hear you say that, because I used to pretend I was a DJ.
Yes.
And you know those tape recorders, Akdala.
Oh, yeah?
You click and click, yeah,
Yes.
and then you start,
Yes.
you pretend that you're a DJ.
Yes.
So you used to read.
I used to read and I used to tell stories. I'm not sure if you know what it is then, where you would take rocks and start telling stories
Yes.
and make up. I used to be such a storyteller that I'd make up these scenes and pretend.
So your grandmother encouraged you?
And she encouraged that. And most of the time she kept all of this. And so when we talk now about what I've become or where I've been,
Yes.
she always makes reference to those things. And it's interesting that she has a kist in her house with all those books and scribbles
That you used to read.
that I used to read.
That little girl in today's world, I mean, as a young leader, and you're heading an organization, what aspects of that little Dudu are visible today in the way you lead?
I would say Ubuntu. Ubuntu and respecting one's craft. And this is something I grew up seeing with my dad. My dad was a taxi driver. He used to wake up at 3 a.m. and then come back ebusuku. I also saw it with my great-grandmother, who was, looking back now, I'd say a serial entrepreneur. At some point, she used to sell chickens. At some point, she even had a tavern in the house. But in all of that, people always gravitated to our house because of how warm the house was.
Hardworking home.
Hardworking home. And my and great-grandmother would say, treat your work with respect. whether it's schoolwork, whether
Yes.
it's anything, treat it with respect and treat people with respect. And so I see that in the way I lead or in the way I approach leadership.
And what are the attributes you bring into your teams from those days? I mean, there's discipline there.
Absolutely.
There's hard work.
There's discipline, there's a good work ethic. And I think my dad not going out of his way to say, have a good work ethic, he embodied it and showed it. And it's something I try to show or try to impart in my teams. Another thing would be accountability. There's a huge part about being accountable that I grew up with Ekai. My grandmother, if you did something wrong or even right, we would have conversations about what inspired you to do that. Why did you
So
do
she
that?
wanted to understand.
Yes, she wanted you to understand and learn from that. And of course, if I was being naughty, we'd have a conversation about it and Nkolise, and she would say, Indlulile. And indeed, Indlulile. Whereas
We move on.
We move on.
Do you do that at work if people drop the ball?
I try to. I try to. It's different when you are a young millennial leader to lead other young millennial leaders and even older people.
What's the difference?
I think the difference is we see each other as peers. And so there is that expectation that, you are going to turn a blind eye because, we're all in a learning process. Siyafunda sonke. Last week I was actually at a youth sector national dialogue strategic session. And I was there as a delegate and I ended up being one of the organizing committees. And one of the colleagues said, something I've noticed about you is how disciplined and professional you are. And I thought, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Is this not work?
Do you think, therefore, that our upbringing, our family upbringing, plays a role in who we become as leaders? And in your case, you've mentioned grandmother, you've mentioned watching your dad, but is there somebody in the family who believed in your leadership capacity?
My late grandfather. I'm told he unfortunately passed on when I was 5 years old. But my grandmother says when I was a toddler, he would say, Dudu is going to grow up and study. She will go and study abroad. She will become a doctor. Well, he didn't live long enough to know, but over the years, I've had opportunities to go and actually study abroad. And so to be the first in my family to get a degree, to even get an international postgraduate, my grandmother always says, your grandfather believed in you. He spoke it in you when you were a child. And unknowingly, I
at work
lived it.
today as a leader, are there team members you believe in?
Absolutely.
And how do you then demonstrate that? Your grandfather told it, mentioned it. Your grandmother repeated it to you. How do you do it?
I do it with my one-on-ones, with the team members. I always approach and I always say that even in the team meetings that everyone in this team is here for a reason. You are a subject matter expert in what you are doing. Whether you're a junior person, whether you're a mid manager, you are a subject matter expert. It's up to you to work and develop that subject that you want to be an expert in. And I've learned that when you approach people with that, they tend to look at themselves differently. They have a different sense of responsibility and a different sense of confidence and a different camaraderie in giving their all in their work.
Yeah, what would be the points of tension beyond being peers? Because your generation is growing up at a time when information is available on smartphones. People don't have to have a PhD degree necessarily to know something.
Yeah.
They can just go and type, and now with AI, the claws of this world,
it's
the
even
chat
worse.
GPTs, it's even worse. Where do you find the biggest tensions as a leader? And what will your advice be to somebody who's facing a similar kind of situation?
I think our generation needs more of thinking leaders. Because again, what you said, there's so much accessibility to AI. I'm finding more people would rather have a little bit of a buzzword and a clickbait or whatever, as opposed to really listening and reading and being a thinking leader and critically analyze things, analyze situation, analyze the possibilities in different fronts.
So-
and I think that's what
Yeah, do
we
you get
could
it?
be missing. I think that's
Are we,
the
are we
sense I
outsourcing
have.
our thinking?
A lot.
That can be good though.
No, it can't. It can't. And that's why, for me, in my personal life, at home, I'm always pushing reading. Once a month, me and my kids will go to a bookstore and we pick books. My middle one, Lily, is still learning how to read, and I'm making her read like me. So I'd pick up a piece of paper, I'll pick up a bottle and say, what is this word? Mouth it.
That little to do is come back today.
Yes, I think so. And I'm trying to do it with my
reading.
kids.
And so,
Yes.
yeah,
yes.
but reading is important. But I'm just thinking about frustrations. What frustrates you the most now? Because if you got that approach as a leader and your peers and people rely on tools like AI to get stuff, what frustrates you the most? And how do you deal with it?
Accountability.
Lack of accountability.
And just pure, like, people who are not consistent, Babden, right? And I'm referring to consistency in a sense of who you show up as when you were looking for this opportunity should be who you are throughout the different seasons of this role. And there are days that are going to be hard, but be consistent in how you show
Why is
up.
consistency important in a world where people also celebrate variety and flexibility and things like that?
Because it shows that you're a principled person. It shows your values. It helps people trust you. It helps build relationships. In a world that is more concerned about instant gratification, you need consistency, I think. I think that's one of the most important things. You need consistency.
Yeah, that will lead me to another question that I have out of that answer, because from a curiosity perspective, as a young person, what would then living a life of significance look like?
Not being the first all the time and empowering others and building a more collaborative youth ecosystem. We have the most highest unemployment rate in the country. We have more young people with degrees that are unemployed. There are a lot of youth development organizations that are working. The ecosystem is fragmented. And I think for me, living a life of impact and significance is working and using my network and my opportunities to bring more and more people to drive a more systematic change. Beyond being Ududu or Kulele Katlehong, who's the only one in the community. I want more Dudus. I want to go back to Katlehong, and people don't even know who Dudu is because there's so many Dudus in Katlehong.
How do we then create? What's your thought about how do we create more Dudus? I mean, I've mentioned here on the podcast, don't I, known that there are people in my journey who've opened doors for me.
Absolutely.
That a good leader is a manager who works himself or herself out of the job to
Absolutely.
create space for the others. In your view, how do we create more Dudus?
More mentorship, more programs that expose young people in unprivileged backgrounds to more opportunities. I mean, someone opened doors for me. My father was a taxi driver. My mom was a domestic worker, but someone opened a door for me. I got the first scholarship to register at NWU and had my grandmother use her SASA grant to pay for my fees, and the French embassy funded my master's degree. I've had so many opportunities of people seeing the potential and opening doors for me, and I try to do that as well.
How much of that are you doing currently?
I try.
I mean, because you're part of an organization, youth. I know you're very passionate
Yes,
about
yes,
young people.
yes.
You're a young person yourself,
Yes.
but I know you're passionate about
Yes,
lifting others.
yes.
And that's what I love about you.
Yes.
And I've admired you, as I said, from a distance.
Thank you.
But, so how does that look like?
I'm involved in so many NPOs. There's also young people that I mentor. I don't want to name them by names just
No,
now.
no,
Some of
don't.
my mentees will think, oh, okay, I'm definitely not Dudu's favorite. and through family. I'm very big on empowering and mentoring family.
You mentor family members.
Yes,
That's how you give back. Isn't it?
Yes, I
Because
give back.
other family members, when you start shining, doing well, bacele imali egrosa at the end of the month.
But that's so important to really show people that it's also possible.
For you too.
For you too.
Okay, yeah.
And so I spent the previous 2 years applying for applications for my cousins to get into university. Two of them are now doing, and my younger sister doing their second year in university. I do that for my nephews and some of my cousins to also look for other opportunities and help them apply and guide their parents in terms of the application process. Those that need maybe socio-mental help, I lean on to friends within the counseling space in the public sector to help them get the help that they need. I really do try in the way that I know and using again my network, not only for people outside, because charity begins at home. So always helping family and outside.
Yeah, I guess family is very important for you. And your approach to your team at work and others would also be based on that kind of approach, that we're together in this thing.
Yes.
How much do you think corporate South Africa is doing for this? Because I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, if they were doing it effectively and more of them, unemployment wouldn't be as high as it is today.
Then I have to agree with you. I was reading Prof. Mohali's book, and he said something so astonishing that if corporate South Africa wanted to end unemployment, it would. And if corporate wanted to end the high varsity tertiary debt, it would, because the number of JSE listed companies have a responsibility to give back. And whoever's sitting on CSIR or ESG or whatever is choosing not to prioritize the youth, prioritize unemployment, prioritize entrepreneurship. Yeah. And so that's why you're finding now what I call the impact sector, the CSO, the civil society that are doing the work. I call it the impact sector. We are part of the impact sector, where we've been so conditioned in having the impact sector fill in the gap and fixing where government and now corporate is failing.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a role in corporate social investment myself in corporate South Africa different times throughout my career in media, and I still question if we have impact. There's billions of rands spent, for example, by corporate South Africa when they do their annual reports in education. But the quality of our education is still really, really disadvantaging our young people. Okay, and as this year the country is marking 50 years since this June 16, 1976 uprising, I've been thinking, where are we headed? In 50 years' time, I'll be gone. I won't be around. You're going to still be around in 50 years' time. So what does the world look like for you, for South Africa going forward? What must we change to make sure we don't having similar conversations in 50 years' time?
I've been thinking a lot about that, especially this past weekend. And for me, it's the word that keeps coming into my head is access.
More access.
Access to opportunities, access to jobs, access to quality education. And I'm saying access to quality education because I see it in the privileged who have the opportunity to give their children British international curriculum versus and more access to jobs.
Are you angry? Are you angry as a young South African today that that kind of access after 30 years of democracy doesn't exist, after all is being said and promised by our political leaders?
I'm not angry. I'm disappointed, but I'm also inspired. I think the youth of 1976 passed the baton that laid the foundation, and it's up to us as this youth, the millennials and the Gen Alpha and so forth, to carry it forward. Carry it forward.
Generationally, us during 1976 had a clear cause. The world was more or less black or white. Today there's too much gray.
There's globalization.
There's poverty on the one hand, you've mentioned. There's unemployment. There's inequality. I mean, you are immersed, and I watch you. You're busy as a young person in helping others and stuff like that. how should we define the struggle of South African youth today? How would you define it? What is it?
Sure, it's fragmented. And I would say it's an ecosystem that is fragmented because you are looking at different issues. There's unemployment, there's healthcare, there's mental health, there's illiteracy. It's an fragmented, struggling ecosystem.
So it's a lot of stuff to fix, eh?
It is.
It feels like it's a heavy burden on one generation.
It is. It feels, I mean, it may feel like that at times, but I'm always inspired when I'm around other young people who also see the potential of South Africa. I think the last couple of months we've seen so much negative about our country that one might think, oh, it's all doom and gloom. But I find I'm in the most privileged opportunity and in the most privileged country.
Yeah.
Because South Africa is so diverse and we can change so much.
So what do you
and the
tell
ground, I feel, is still fertile.
Still fertile.
Yes.
Great. I mean, so is that what you'll tell a young executive in an organization currently who had the privilege of having a role to play?
Absolutely.
That they must use that position
Absolutely.
to inspire more hope?
Absolutely. The ground is fertile as I see it. I'm not naive to think we're not going to face challenges.
Yes.
We live in a more globalized and polarized society, but the ground is fertile.
Yeah, I just want to touch on something else just now. You are a professional.
Yes.
You are a mother
Yes. Of 3.
of 3. Wow, great. Cool.
Thank
well
you.
done. You are a wife.
Yes.
Whew, that's a lot.
It is.
So which of these Dudus do you like?
I like all of them.
Okay. Which one gives you more satisfaction?
The mother Dudu.
The mother Dudu.
The mother Dudu. And I'm saying the mother Dudu because my parents had me when they were young. And I was raised by my grandmother. So my parents were both at school. I never had the privilege of having my parents be parents to me. So they pretty much raised me like we were siblings because
Yes. Yeah, your dad
they were
was in the
very
ro- your
young.
dad
My
was on
dad
the
was in the road,
in
and
the
my
taxi, yes.
and my mom's side of the family. My mom came from really a really poverty-stricken home, and it was my grandmother's opportunity to then ask to raise me instead of me growing up in my mom's side of the family. So instead of looking at that as I was robbed of an opportunity to be raised by mom, I see it also as an opportunity to get to know my mom now. And so I get inspired by being a mom. I enjoy being a mom because I feel I get to see things in a lens I hoped and wished my mom could have seen in the lens I see it now with my kids being young.
Yeah, and I think your presence is more important now for you as well with the children.
Absolutely.
From what out of your childhood, because your mom,
Absolutely.
she was hardly there for you.
Absolutely.
And that gives you the satisfaction.
It does. I mean, now she's an amazing grandmother, but it does. It's just so amazing raising different personalities.
So when you
and
knock
being
off
there.
when you knock off at work and you're going home, I'm sure you'll have a big smile on your face after a good
do.
day. And it helps you to rebalance, isn't it?
I look forward to doing the school runs. I look forward when they come back from home to all their stories and the politics. I mean, my eldest is doing grade 5, so they're going through that social circle navigation. And my youngest is just at crèche and still learning. So it's always so great to see and see the world through their eyes. And
Which is the biggest value for you that you've learned from your grandparents?
my grandparents.
Greatest value.
Service.
And hence you continue to serve today.
Serve today. My grandmother still serves. I mean, she's got osteoarthritis, but everyone comes to our house in the neighborhood when they need something. I have one, and I was sharing this with my husband yesterday, that it's so strange what the mind does.
Yeah.
That my grandfather died when I was 5, but I remember us going to the Vaal. So his family was from the Vaal with the train. And I specifically remember him saving a particular gentleman who had jumped on the train and was about to fall. and everyone was running away, and he opened the window, and he was half his body trying to drag this boy inside the train. And he got the boy inside the train.
That memory stuck with you.
It stuck with me. And I was saying to my husband, it's funny what the mind does, because I've asked my grandmother am I making this up? And she said it happened. And I said, that stuck with me because he risked his life and he saw probably himself in this young boy. You know, he's a city young boy. I need to save him.
That spirit of service,
Yeah.
of selfless service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, at your funeral, what would you like people to say Dudu was known for?
She gave. And she served. And I see how I don't go out of my way to serve, and because I'm a person of faith, I think God calls me into service. There are roles that I could not have dreamt I would have been called to serve in, and I find people see the work that I'm doing, or people recognize me, and I'm called to serve. And my prayer all the time is to give an honest day's work and to serve like I am believed in to serve.
See why I've admired you from a distance. Thank you very much.
I've admired you.